All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to Clark's Place. Today, just gonna try to get the charger blocked down and using kind of what I just learned about blocking and thinking about it a little further. Gonna go through and just get it down to where I'm really a new stage of comfortable with ready for getting this thing primed and then into paint. And right there, you just saw as I'm sanding, I found a spot that is a dent that I'll show here a little bit later. But did the quarter there at the start and blocked it down with the long block. And then I'm on the underside of the hood right here. And I'm still going to stand by that all of that spraying of spray paint under that hood frame there to seal in everything is a good idea. I mean, yes, I mean, you'll see here I spend quite a bit of time going around and getting all of those run marks out. But in the long run here, once you've seen like the next stage, it goes black and then it goes gray. I mean, it turns out super nice. And like I said in the video, when I was actually doing all that spray painting and all of that stuff got everywhere, like I'm still sleeping good at night here. So as madness as it seems, I'm still gonna stand by. I think that it actually is gonna do a good job here. So you'll see me sand all this underside here. As you're sanding and you're using a piece of sandpaper, you can lose your sandpaper in the in that grid work there. So I get out the long little grabbing sneaky plier, not sneaky plier, the little sneaky grabbers, and had to snake down on the inside of that hood and grab my stupid paper back out. But yeah, going around and around, going all and getting all of those edges. And you'll see when I spray the car that I kind of spray at an angle underneath each of those crevices to try to get some primer in there that I can sand out and actually get painted well. So going around, and since this is my personal car, I mean, I'm pretty detail oriented all the time, but I mean, I'm going to the nth degree, and you can adjust whatever your restoration you're doing to whatever level you want to take it, of course, however much time you want to spend on it. But I spent a lot of time, and told you before, I'm recording everything, so you're getting the whole nine, so to speak. All right, in sanding, I exposed this, that somehow, some way, right there in the center of the hood, where we had this thing tucked away, and somehow it ended up with a dent. So checking the top, it looks like it's sanding out pretty good all over the top, but don't know how. Protect your parts when you're gonna put them aside. I did my best and it still got a ding. It's just a little recession right there. I heated it up with a torch. I just used this torch here and just heated all that up from the back side where it was exposed metal, and then cold rag and a little slapper. Where'd the slapper go, Pop? Oh, it's right there in the chair. Oh yeah, and just kind of slapped it to bring it back down, and slapped it from this side, pushing it out, and it got quite a bit of the dent out, but it disappointment. But what can you do? So anyway, getting that squared back away, and then I think we're gonna start doing Pops's trunk thing here. So I'll be continuing to work on this, and we'll get his thing squared away as well. Okay, we are going to use some of this U-Pole gold glaze.
I think I've used it in other videos.
Yeah, we've used it before. We've got the mild indentation on the hood,
that we don't
mild.
know that we don't know where it came from, but we're going to put the glaze in there. I mean, it's probably could use
make it really
Bondo or this glaze. I think
this will be wide enough.
I think the glaze is probably the finest as far as sanding it.
I like this stuff.
Make it a little bit strong so it will set up quick and we can get back to sanding on it.
Master idea.
You want to just keep wiping, make sure you don't put any air bubbles in it.
That's looking
good.
Let's get it on there.
Get over to the car.
Sets up.
Looking very nice.
It's starting to set up. I'm just gonna leave it, I think. Well, that was a little better.
There you go. Yeah, you're done.
I'm gonna call that good.
All right. So hopefully that will have filled that little indentation, and we'll be ready to go back to getting this hood ready.
Yeah, we'll feather all that out, and it might still be a little bit low there, but I'll sand all that back to where you'll see that this will all be exposed again, and you'll just have a little puddle of filler there.
Okay, parting words.
Protect your parts at all costs.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we're going on this hood dent repair now, and just kind of filled it in with that first layer there, and you'll see me just everything by hand here, just kind of feeling it out, seeing how that will actually block down. And it actually did go right. Like I said, it all kind of formed back down into that little recession there, that little puddle. And then here's a quick little sequence. I'd sanded out the center. That way everything was sanded to where new Bondo was going to stick to the old Bondo, or that glazing stuff. And then put it in there, and you'll see this is over a couple days that I let it dry. My shirt changes a couple times here. But got it in there, and then that last little area, the last coat, I think I put 3 coats on there of the Duraglass stuff. Or not Duraglass, but the U-pull stuff. And then I think that last stage, that might have been 320 paper that I threw on there, and this is super high speed. But yeah, I ended up doing 3 different layers and then feathering that out. And then with that interface pad on the DA there, it actually ended up sanding out pretty darn flat. You can see the little shiny spot on the underside of the hood there that as I heated it up and then quenched it, and I'd slap it as it was hot to kind of get it to maybe think about having some new memory. It actually ended up pushing that back out pretty flat. I mean, you saw all the filler that I put in there. I pretty much took that all back out, but oh, you just saw my little grabber friend there that I lost the sandpaper down in there again, so I pulled it out. But in the lower right corner there, you can see all of those runs. This hood actually has, you can see as I'm sanding the gray, it gets black underneath. So I'd already done initially 2 coats on this, knowing that I would come back in and block, and I'd be able to use that 2-layer color differential there to kind of see what I'm doing, see how much I'm sanding. And you can see pretty much all those runs are out of that area in that lower right there, in that little circular area that's recessed. So got all that pretty well sanded out, and just working and working and working. Like I said about being detail oriented, is I've seen so many little things that other cars have that less restorations, that you just throw a quick paint job on something, that the corners aren't really detailed. You can see some painted over trash here and there, and I just wanted, this is a new AMD hood. I wanted to do the best possible job that I can, and I may still miss something. It seems like every time you paint, I wish there was a primer that went on that you didn't have to sand. It didn't have some coarseness to it. And yes, I'm using high build primer, which maybe I shouldn't, but you spray another coat of primer on it and you have to do all of this again. I mean, it is a ton of work and detailed work. And I switched to the top here and just going over it. It was pretty flat, but like when I was sanding with the block, I found that stinking area in the center there that needed work. So sanded all of it real quick. All of it sanded out pretty good. The only spot that I had there was pretty much in that little recession area there. And then that's getting all that. I jump over to the trunk deck here, and yeah, there's a little dot that shows up there on the left and the right. It's like that's where there's a weld spot or something on the bottom side of that. The where it attaches, it's like there's a little dimple that sticks up on both sides. So it didn't sand out to where, yeah, I can see a little dot on the right side too. It's equal on both sides. I don't really see that it's where it's welded underneath there, but there must be something that is pushing up, or maybe it's a little seam sealer on the inside or something where that skin went over that grid there on the underside. But on both sides it was the same way. So here you can see that stain is still there. I grabbed some of the thinner and wiped that stain out, and then I felt like I got all that sanded pretty good, but you'll see, I don't want to spoil the surprise for everyone, but the next video when I go to prime, or it may be before I go to prime this, you can see it blows out of the corner there. So if I can say anything, sand along the edges of those seams, sand the corners, sand right up against a transition. Make sure that it's got something to adhere to. Otherwise, that paint will just blow off. And I've probably said it 3 or 4 different times in some different videos for different things that we've done. But it needs to stick. You've got to have your surface prepped and clean, nice. I switch over to Pops and Doug. They're finishing out the doors, and I think the fenders are there, doors are there, and front valance, and then Dad's rear valance for the 72 Challenger. But yeah, you've really got to get detailed in there and do some great sanding. So you'll see in the next couple videos that I've recorded here, I do get in there and I do show some of that detailed sanding work that I end up doing on some other things. So Doug blows it off, and that's the end of this vid. Thanks.